The ongoing exchange of hostilities between Israel, the United States, and Iran has escalated significantly, with far-reaching economic and geopolitical consequences. Lives continue to be lost, and diplomatic negotiations appear to have broken down in favor of direct military confrontation. One of the world's major oil transportation routes has reportedly been disrupted, while the larger refinery in the Middle East has shut down operations. Countries heavily dependent on oil import are already feeling the strains of this crisis. Nigeria, whose economy remains significantly reliant on oil revenues, is not immune to this development. Fuel crises are expected to rise, and authorities are grappling with the potential spillover effect of this conflict, including protests by Shia groups in several Nigerian cities. To better understand the implications of this crisis for Nigeria, we'll be speaking with Professor Boyega Kolawole, who was a Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics. Prof has special interest in spiritual literature and international affairs. He is from the University of Abuja. Prof, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So, Prof, what should be the immediate response of the government to this unfolding crisis in the Middle East?
As I said, Nigeria is a secular state in the first place. So it cannot side with any of the warring factions. True, its policy is non-alignment. So it can only watch and see what becomes of the entire thing. However, our economy can be affected. As I said, petrol is now 960. Some 2 days back, it was 860, I think. So the ripple effect of the crisis is already biting. But I would say that if we are better organized, our shock absorber will be stronger.
Yes, that brings us to the issue of the effects and the shock absorber.
Yeah.
Does Nigeria have this capacity to absorb this shock in real terms, if you look at the crisis?
In any other realm where you have an oil-producing state facing this kind of thing, they will tell you there's no need to worry. You are producing, and you can fix your price locally. Now, if you talk about the international level, where, of course, demand and supply are tied to these forces at work, it's even to our own advantage. Some days back, it was 71, I think. This morning, it was 79. So it's to our own advantage. But we are suffering locally because we are not well organized.
So what would you say should be the foreign policy framework or strategic orientation that should guide the government in this situation?
The non-alignment thing has been working for us because you are free to associate with any country. Yes, if it's a socialist country now where you know the axis, if it's capitalist essentially, you know the axis. But a non-alignment thing enables you to associate with any state at your will and to your own advantage. So, nobody has called for a review of our foreign policy because it's working.
Okay, one danger that is emanating from this situation is you could see there's already the Shiite protests.
Yeah.
The spillover has started coming. So are you surprised that is happening in Nigeria, and what should be the government's response to this?
Well, the Shiites, of course, are a minority Muslim group all over the world. It's just that Iran happens to be the center of the Shiites. Majority Muslims are Sunni. That's why the Arab states it appears the Arab states are lukewarm to what is going on in Iran. Yes, because Iran is Shiite. Most Arab states are Sunni. The Shiite group, of course, are associated with radical Islam. Arab states in the Middle East are tired of radical Islam. So what is going on now, if it is resolved, is likely, already there seems to be a process of regime change. So if it becomes a less Islamic state, there will be less radical Islam. And there may be relative peace, or yes, peace, the relative one, in the Middle East.
Okay, let's interrogate that area a little bit more.
Yeah.
This Shia protest.
Yes.
What should be the government immediate reaction to it now that it's still fresh?
Well, government has coped with it many times before. There's this regular movement by the Shiites, yes, on a festival basis. They are monitored. If it doesn't go violent, they allow them because they have a freedom of association. But if it goes violent, they have a way of checking it. So I don't think there's any cause for alarm.
So we're looking at the action taken by the U.S. government in this area now. Does this send a broader geopolitical signal to our president that regarding Nigerian strategic posturing or alliance? What does this say? That, look, we can attack any country we want. Does that tell Nigeria that, okay, we should align with the U.S.?
Let me tell you one thing. Whatever the situation is, it is wrong to attack a sovereign nation. Go to Ukraine. Putin operation that would have lasted 3 days. This is the 4th year. A sovereign state is being attacked, and you want to support it? It could be you next time. However, to be very objective too, you ask the question, why would the United States focus on Iran? Let's go back to what happened last year. Yeah, the nuclear program. But before then, I think what started this problem is this, what we call regional supremacy or rivalry. Iran is a major player in that place and wants to lead that area, even as a shared minority. Others are not comfortable with it. That's why it seems that they are not backing Iran, and they seem to be supporting United States or Israel. And they have even worsened the situation by attacking those Arab states. Perhaps if they just allowed it to go that way, okay, are you betraying us? It's not new in the Middle East. Let's talk about the Six-Day War in Israel, 1967, the 1973 June war between Israel, Egypt, and the Arab states. From one point, they want to gather to fight a common enemy. Along the line, they begin to have cracks, yes. Jordan, for example, is known for that if they start, Jordan is not likely to end with them. In fact, Jordan is seen as a spy for Israel. So there's that disparity there and mutual suspicion. But I think if you didn't have a nuclear program there, this crisis will not. Yes. Israel has had a nuclear program as far back as 1967, but they're still denying it. Iraq is having it, but the fear, of course, is that once it has it, it will use it. And that is the major fear.
We want to get it clear out there.
Yeah.
Now, because in Nigeria, since the birth of this administration, you saw what the activities of the U.S. were in some part of the country when they attack some terrorists, and the argument that Christians were being killed in Nigeria. So this attack going on in Iran now, we want to know, there should be a way that Nigeria can navigate this to benefit one way or the other, either to assuage the U.S. government to stay a bit backward, to move back, not to discontinue attacks here, or to profit directly and say, okay, fine, we align with the U.S. There should be a way for Nigeria to navigate this. What do you think that should be?
I see these two situations as quite different. Trump, of course, has his own peculiarity as an individual. Yes, outlandish in claims, erratic in actions, etc. And that's what caused the initial crisis in Nigeria. His own opinion was that Christians were just being killed here and there. And based on information given by some people who knew, of course, their own interests. But the reality, of course, is that terrorism and the rest does not distinguish between religion and where they have been captured or perhaps brought down. Those things you see around them don't even point to any religion. Substance, drugs, and other things, condoms, etc. You carry women, decimate them the way they like. Where do you find that in the Quran? So terrorism is terrorism, and most of the times it's for profit. But wherever it is, it carry out an attack, we've seen Muslims slaughtered in their mosque as early as 5 a.m. by these same people. So, but based on the wrong information given to, and then he concluded, oh, Christians are being slaughtered in Nigeria. We are coming, of course, to attack the place. There was alternative information. And they now realize that, what is going on here, of course, is terrorism, banditry. And the way they're approaching it now shows very clearly, of course, that the United States has accepted that there is no genocide in Nigeria.
Okay, let's look at the broader question of global power dynamics right now.
Yeah.
Why does it often appear that might determines the outcomes of the international system? Because if you look at the Bakassi Peninsula question, Nigeria relinquished ownership of that because of the Court of Arbitration that decided the case. Could you say, in alignment with the US, Nigeria could say, okay, because of our national interest, reclaim that Bakassi Peninsula, since might is right in this case?
Might is never right. The Nigerian Bakassi problem was even a conspiracy to a very great extent among our lawyers. Yes, the case was not well handled. That's why we lost it. Those were perhaps revelations after the judgment. However, if you talk of might, would might really solve what you are seeing in the Middle East now? Yes, is a pointer to what might can do. But is that the best way to resolve conflicts? The best way to resolve conflicts is a round table. You give and take. Everybody goes home with something. And then that conflict is settled forever. What you are seeing there, we will recall somewhere else, some other time. Because some people will feel hurt and they want to fight back. While, of course, some of these countries talking about their citizens being evacuated, because that's the ripple effect. You are attacking one, they will attack your own citizens too. But might does not solve any problem anywhere. That's why the whole world is still at war now, because might is what matters to some people.
The argument will be that the US always gets whatever it wants. It removed and started a new government in Venezuela.
Yeah.
The same in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Even though that has failed. The same in Iraq and all across those places.
Yeah.
So if we're Nigeria to be determined, and so we're going to get back the Bakassi Peninsula and align with the strategic interests of the US, do you think that is possible?
You see, I would still say that this Bakassi thing should be left the way it is. You give and take. Sometimes you want to be a benevolent brother to your sister state. You have enough oil. If they don't have, give them. Since that was an international, what do you call it, court judgment, leave it as it is. That's my own way of seeing it. Nigeria uses, and where is the might? Let me tell you, if you start what over there, yes. Russia is likely to support Cameroon. Yes, the Cold War is still there. Where the US is going is contrary to where Russia will go forever and ever. It's a socialist, capitalist demarcation. That is it. So if you think you can be a predator to Cameroon, some countries will support them for the sake of what we call it influence. Yes, influence, global influence.
Okay, so what will you suggest, looking at how the power equilibrium is going? The countries are arming themselves, trying to renew alliances, strengthening their military capacity. Nigeria should take a lead in a particular area within this region. Which area do you think Nigeria should strengthen that military capacity? Investment in what, actually, for the sake of national interest and national security?
Well, you see, there's this very strong defense industry coming up in Nigeria. We have the genius, and they are doing it. I don't have much information about what is going on, of course, in the defense industry, but there are a lot of innovations going on there. We may be a major player eventually. Economically, we're a major player. We've played so many roles all over. So we are not an automatic big brother. Yes, but we can do better if we have what we call self-sustenance. If you don't need to depend on America for its jets to be able to fight Boko Haram and the rest. Yes. If you have your own innovations, you will depend less on them. And your surrounding countries will not depend on you too. Yes, because it pays them to buy from you. Because it's cheaper. Yes. And they will align with you more. That is it. What I've seen there, the Middle East, they want peace too. They want peace. The Abraham Accord. What is the meaning of it? It involves all the Arab states, including Sudan. Yes. So they want peace. But that question mark is what is going on now, that Iran does not align with them. So, and then you have what we call surrogate armies. Yes, the Houthis, the
the element of resistance.
Yes, the Hezbollah, and then Hamas. Yes.
So, what do you foresee will be the outcome of this crisis as per the implication for Nigeria? How do you look at it? If as long as it goes 1 week, 2 weeks, what do you think will be the implication for Nigeria?
Well, the long implication is that if it is resolved, it will reduce radical Islam. Obviously. Because if there's a regime change in Iran, radical Islam will automatically just diminish.
And you think that will equally affect that radicalism in Nigeria? Yeah?
It's already diminished. Yes, it's already diminished. Have we forgotten Zaki? In those days, even soldiers could not pass through their routes on a good day. They would tell them to go back until that crisis during Buhari's, and they faced it headlong. Since then, has it not been diminished? Yeah, if government, as they say, Abacha, good memory, bad memory, whichever way you are looking at it. Yes, he said if any insurgency lasts more than 6 months, politics has entered it. In other words, government also has interest in it. So if you don't have interest in it, there's no way a militia group can overcome a nation. If there's no conspiracy.
So if it goes on, the price of things are definitely going to rise because of the oil price at the international community. Will you suggest the government should prepare for some handouts to the people who may face the economic crunch as a result of this crisis?
Well, I'm not as pessimistic as that. The reason is this. If you monitor what is going on, of course, in Iran right now, the probability of regime change is very clear. Pahlavi is being prepared to come back and lead the opposition there. What it means is that the IRCG, the Ayatollah dynasty, or whatever you call it, of course, is no more there. Before 1979, there used to be a very cordial, in fact, Iran was the first country to congratulate Israel in 1948 when it got its independence, the first Muslim majority state. There was a pipeline, pipeline between Israel and Iran at that time. After that 1979 revolution, it collapsed. But that pipeline is still being used by Azerbaijan now with yes, that's Azerbaijan and Israel. Yes, that's the pipe linking the two countries. So, as I said, I'm not as pessimistic. If you talk about this 6 months ago, I may tell you it's looking very gloomy. You don't know the end of it. But as of this morning, what you can see, yeah, the extent to which they have even removed those killing them, you can see more than 40 of them have killed the man, the wife, even the successor has been. So if the regime change there happens the way it is being predicted, I think it's going to be a short thing. And it may not have so much effect that would require giving handouts. Petrol, we were used to buy petrol 1,100 one time until it came to 700. But why I even said we were not organized is that, let me tell you, some people are saying that petrol shouldn't cost more than 700 naira. And I think that's where government should come in. If there's no conspiracy, if government people are also not interested in this petrol thing, there ought to be some intervention. Yes, you buy for 900 today, and tomorrow is another thing. When, in actual sense, is an oil-producing state. It doesn't happen in other places like that. That's where, of course, the current administration should intervene. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Nice having you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.